Yes, welcome Andy. Good afternoon.
Great trick, by the way, a little bit dangerous with the, but good.
Yeah, with the thing, yes.
Yeah, good afternoon everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join us here at Vibit with the Praycom team. For those of you that weren't here last year, Craig Malloy, our founder and CEO, did a fantastic presentation about Lifesize transformed and where we've come from. So what we're going to do today, Craig can't be with us, but we're going to dial him up in Austin, and Craig's going to explain about the next step and the next phase of Lifesize transformed. So this is what we're going to do from the system here. We like to use the technology and make sure it's all in action. So hopefully Craig's going to answer. Do we have him there? Amazing. Craig, how you doing?
Hello, good afternoon.
So Craig's on the screen here, so he can see me but can't see all of you at the moment. So let me hand you over to Craig. Craig's just going to give a quick introduction and then on with the presentation. We're just going to move the camera onto the audience, Craig, so you can see them. Okay, ready when you are, Craig. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for, are we ready to go, Andy?
We're ready to go, Craig. Fire away.
Okay, great. Right. Well, thank you for spending a few minutes with us today. I'm in Austin, Texas, where it's 6:30 in the morning. To my right is Clayton Reeves, our Vice President of International Sales here at Lifesize. So some responsibility for the Nordics region, in Finland in particular. So Clayton's always here because Clayton runs international. He's always here at 6 a.m. in the office. It's just a little bit early for me. You see the office behind me is still a little dark, but people will start rolling in here fairly soon. So thank you for spending a few minutes with us this morning. I wanted to do a couple things. Give you my perspective on the video communication business. I spent many years in this market, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So my perspective of what's going on in video communication. It's a really exciting time. And then tell you a little bit about Lifesize. So let's get started. Here we go. So at Lifesize, our mission, the mission of our company, is to connecting people to make the workplace great. We're in the people connection business, and this really speaks to our core values. But first, I wanted to tell you a little bit about me and what I've done in the video communication market. I'll probably say some things that might be controversial or might be things that you wouldn't necessarily agree with. But this is my opinions from spending a lot of my career in this business. So specifically, I've been in the video communication market for 24 years, coming up on 24 years, all of it here in Austin, Texas. I was part of the product management team at a very early pioneer video communication company called Vitel back in the mid 90s. Actually, where Clayton and I worked together. Clayton was the VP Worldwide Sales, right, at Vitel. It was one of the very early pioneers of video communication. In fact, it was so early that the user interface on our products was a C prompt. You literally had it was a command line interface. Literally, you had to type in code to make a video call. So the UX has user interface design has come a long way since then, but that's where we started. And I left after a couple of years there and founded a company called Via Video, which was purchased by Polycom, and that became the Polycom video communication business. Worked there for a while, and then started Lifesize in 2003. And that business grew very rapidly, in the on-premise infrastructure and very expensive conference room systems, and we sold that to Logitech, Swiss American company for a good price in 2009. Then I left, and Lifesize, the world began to change in video communication, and everything was moving from on-premise infrastructure to a cloud-based model. And Lifesize was not well positioned. I came back, and we ended up buying the company back from Logitech in 2015 after we had reinvented it into a SaaS business, a global connected SaaS business. But just to give you an idea of some of the products we've worked on over the years. So our first video communication product at Polycom called the View Station. Some of you might remember those. Have been those are maybe gathering dust in some of your conference rooms. There's some of these actually still in use. Then we built this little USB connected device actually called a Via Video. It's the first desktop video communication product where you didn't have to put a card in your PC. So it was pretty innovative back in 1997. Another product that we built at Via Video just was Polycom was purchasing us. This was our first Lifesize product back in 2005. Lifesize Room System, the very first high definition video communication product that worked over the open internet, 1 megabit per second. That was a big hit. Followed it up with a very small little sub $1,000 product called a Passport, but that was still full HD. A really high performance video communication system called the Lifesize Express that we recently just end of lifed after 12 years worth of service. That was a fantastic product. That was probably our highest volume product we ever sold. I saw one of these in our lab the other day. This was a Bridge 2200. They were actually able to have 16 simultaneous video conferencing calls over HD, and it only cost $50,000. And that was as little as when did we launch that? In 2009. So 9 years ago, all you could get was a 16-way video call, and you could spend $50,000 to get it on that rack-mounted device. And it's just an indication of how far the business has come, because today multi-party video calling ports are essentially infinite and free. I mean, that's in the global cloud infrastructure. I mean, certainly we charge money for our service, but if you buy if you buy a cloud license from Lifesize, and we can give you as many ports as you could ever use, and they're very essentially zero cost at scale. So it's really remarkable how far the industry has come in the last few years, and that kind of leads into some of the other things that I want to talk about. So our current products, our Icon 600, our great HD phone, which I'm sitting here at the table, and our newest little product, which I'm also using this morning, called an Icon 450. So this is 25 years of my career here building these products, and it's been amazing. We've hundreds of thousands of customers around the world, billions of dollars of revenue across from Polycom to Lifesize to Logitech, and now back to Lifesize. So I think I have a little bit of credibility in this business, and frankly, I'm more excited about what's going on in the video communication business today than I ever have been. And so let's talk a little bit about why I think that's the case. The number one reason for that, video communications is now a mainstream business. When Clayton and I started doing this in the mid 90s, we would talk to customers and they'd say, why would I ever want to have a video call? What possible reason would I ever want to see somebody else on video? And it was like pulling teeth to get someone to sit in a room on camera. There was people who had such a cultural aversion, a cultural reaction to having someone see them on camera, and that was a huge impediment to the growth of the business. That it wasn't just the technology; is that no one wanted to be on camera, and so that was really an interesting thing. And is the modern generation of my kids and your kids, that's what they do all day, is take pictures of themselves and send it to their friends. And so, that kind of whole cultural aversion being on video has gone away. I always thought, for years and years and years, that video communication becoming mainstream was going to be, it's going to be more about business usage. That we'd finally get the price performance ability of business-oriented video communication to a place where that would trigger the mass market. But that's actually not what happened. What's actually happened was consumer apps of video communication has driven this industry mainstream. Things like FaceTime and Skype. And I don't know if this app is popular in Finland, called House Party. I don't know if it's mostly pre-teen girls having a multi-way video call with their friends. And so it's a multi-party video calling app for your phone or a tablet, where you essentially turns up a virtual meeting room, and you invite your friends to make a video call, and you all talk together. About 6 months ago, I just gotten home from work, and my 12-year-old daughter was laying on the couch, and there was a bunch of different voices coming from her iPad. And I walked over and I said, "Summer, my daughter's name is Summer. Summer, what are you doing?" She goes, "Oh, I'm having a house party with my friends." I said, "Well, what's that?" So she shows me, and it's this 4x4 layout of a virtual meeting room where, I don't know, where a bunch of her friends are having a video call. I was just like, oh my God, that's what I do at work all day. And now there's free on the iPad for all your silly girlfriends. They're giggling on a video call. But that just shows you how how mainstream this has become. My kids, and probably your kids, don't talk on the phone anymore. They do video calls to help each other with their homework, or they'll Snapchat each other, or whatever they're doing. Oh, I did learn something interesting. I was talking to my daughter 2 nights ago. I was telling her I was going to do a speech about video communication and the kind of communication tools that she uses with her friends. And I said, you probably don't do, I don't see you doing as much FaceTime anymore, but you do a lot of Snapchat. She goes, "Oh, Dad, I don't use Snapchat anymore." I was like, "Really?" He's like, "No." She said, "No, nobody uses Snapchat anymore." So that if you're looking for a stock to short based on my 12-year-old daughter's feedback, so she might be the leading edge. She informed me the other day that nobody uses Snapchat anymore. So that might be the leading indicator that the fad is wearing off. Anyway, so the key point of this is video communication is a mainstream market. It's been driven there by consumer usage of video calling apps. And I think that the interesting segue to that, or the interesting thing about that, is when your employees walk through the door of your office in the morning, just having talk to their kids on the way to work, or on the train, on FaceTime, or talk to their parents or their siblings the night before. When they come through the door of your office, they expect to have those same type of call anybody, anytime, anywhere, on any device experience. And they're highly annoyed with the ancient, hard to use, crappy quality, not scalable, terrible UX video communication systems that you guys have deployed in your companies today. Now, for those of you who have already Lifesize customers, you've moved into the modern world, but most of the other stuff doesn't look like, and doesn't act like, and it's not as easy to use as the things that people use in their personal life. So your employees expect modern communication tools in the office, but your IT guy or gal, lady, expects security. They expect 24/7 support. They expect multiple language support. They expect interoperability, monitoring, admin consoles, encryption, B2B enterprise class features. So that's what we try and deliver. So that's the point in the market that we're at, that there's this massive end user pull for these great communication tools, but there's the business requirements on the back end of that. And we've been very fortunate at Lifesize that now our largest customers run their business on Lifesize, deploy with their systems deployed to every person in every conference room. Companies like SurveyMonkey and Yelp in Silicon Valley have hundreds of our systems, and they run their business on Lifesize. There's good and bad with that. In the old days of video conferencing, 3 years ago, there would be you'd cross your fingers when you're making a video call to see if that would actually work, or the IT guy would be in the room making the call for you because no one could figure out how to use the dial strings and the hash codes at the end of that. And it would be, hooray, the video call worked, and that it would be a bit of an event. Now it's expected. It's first time every time. 4 nines reliability, just like FaceTime. So we've had to up our game in quality and reliability and user experience, and it's made us a better company. So what's going on in the business market? It's really it's a fascinating study. I'm a bit of a product market strategy, business strategy enthusiast, and I love to see how markets develop and technology transitions happen. I've had the opportunity to be involved in a number of technology transitions over the years in video communication. The first one I was involved with back at when I left VTEL to found Via Video. The technology transition that was going on was from this terrible user interface. It was literally a C prompt. They had these giant codecs that were the size of a refrigerator. The systems cost about $80,000. Had a massive systems integration project to go along with it, but the technology allowed us to build a product that was a small, low-cost set-top box, graphical user interface, easily automatically connected to ISDN, and that drove really explosive growth for Polycom because they bought us right when our product was coming out, because that product was so easy to use. It was so accessible, and then that got to a point where the quality limitations and the ISDN limitations of that, kind of leveled out the market. And then with Lifesize, there was another technology transition that was underway, and I think to a large extent we caused that. That technology transition in the mid-2000s was around high-definition video communications over IP networks. Previously, it was very low resolution over ISDN. For about the same price now, with Lifesize, you get an HD video call and it would work over the open internet at 1 megabit per second. And again, there was a huge growth in the market over the next 6 or 7 years because of the value proposition of that. That kind of solution. It just brought so many more people into the market. And we're just at the front end of another massive technology transition. Because in the previous one, you still needed a bunch of on-premise infrastructure to make that work. Mobile devices, laptop, the cloud service infrastructure was not nearly formed yet. And our customers, large global businesses, were capped out at how much video communication they could deploy because of the cost and the complexity and the lack of reliability. It would never scale. You could put a handful of systems at a few of the global locations, but to try and deploy this to every person in every conference room at a company of size, multinational company with multiple locations and thousands of employees, impossible, absolutely impossible, even for the largest companies in the world. So what's going on now? So there's like in those technology markets, there's one of these technology transitions underway again, and it's really being driven by 3 things. Number one, we just talked about video communications going mainstream. It's absolutely a mainstream business application, and customers are looking to deploy video communication to every person in every conference room. We'll talk about the reasons, what I believe the true reasons why that is here in a few minutes. But that's that's the one big thing that's happening. The second big technology transition is this whole move to a cloud service infrastructure, a global cloud service from on-premise infrastructure. And that changes everything about what you know about how to deploy a video communication network. Trying to deploy video communication to every person, every conference room using on-premise, it's doomed to fail when you get up to a certain scale. Doing that over a global public cloud infrastructure, and whether your vendor's using Amazon or Azure or Google or IBM SoftLayer like we do, it provides effortless scale. I mean, it is our system. Just to use an example, our solution now is downloadable apps and plug and play endpoints. You plug in your Lifesize conference room systems like your Apple TV, power, HDMI, the TV, Ethernet, and username and password, and you're done. I mean, literally, you're done. And all the address books load. The software gets updated. I mean, it is effortless scale, and you can pre-provision them, ship them out to your far-flung locations, and they just and then plug them in, and they work. So it changes everything about the deployability and manageability of the solution. So that in itself, allows some growth. The other thing that's going on, which I think is really interesting, is because of this cloud service model, that these meeting collaboration tools are all consolidating into one market, and we'll talk a bit about that in a minute. But the primary reason that there's a massive refresh cycle going on in collaboration tools, because you hate what you're using. I mean, most of you in that room, I would guess that you don't like the collaboration tools that you're using, and here's why. You have one vendor for audio conferencing. In the U.S. is Global Crossing or Level 3 or something else. So there's hundreds of these around the world. So you have one vendor for audio conferencing. You have another vendor for web conferencing, probably GoToMeeting or WebEx or Join.me or some free thing or a local provider. So there's two vendors. You have a different vendor for video conferencing, maybe some old Cisco stuff or some old Polycom in in a few conference rooms, at your major locations. So there's three vendors. And then there's, if you want to do town hall meetings, which, most modern companies do on a regular cadence. We do them here every 3 weeks at Lifesize, a global town hall meeting. Or you want to do training and recording. So you need a streaming and recording component of that as well. That's another vendor. So that's four different vendors for four different meeting solutions. None of them work together. You're overpaying for all of them. And with this, the new cloud service delivery and the modern technology, it gives an opportunity to consolidate all those meeting applications into one, one scalable application. And at Lifesize, we bring in the conference room systems as well. But video conferencing, web conferencing, audio conferencing, streaming, recording are becoming one market. So it's a really exciting time in this space. For customers, for businesses like you, is it finally gives you, a usable solution that is exceptionally high quality, that scales beautifully, that's easy to manage, and probably most importantly, has a completely different total cost of ownership structure than what you had been using before. So let's take a look at that market data. I believe, based on what I'm seeing going on today and on my experience in this business, that 5 years from now there will not be standalone audio conferencing companies. There will not be standalone web conferencing companies or streaming and recording. or probably, for that matter, companies that only provide video communications. These applications are merging into one, are consolidating into one application. If you look at companies that started out in web conferencing, the two global leaders in that space are WebEx, owned by Cisco, and GoToMeeting. Have you ever tried to make a video call? To do this on WebEx, it would be terrible. Even the folks that work for Cisco would agree that this would be an inappropriate use for WebEx. But they're adding video communication to the to those products because these markets are starting to to consolidate. So for us, we come at it from a video communication centric perspective. Audio conferencing is a feature that we've heard. I could have 50 of my closest friends dialing on audio into this call and listen in. We could have folks join in and just see the content and hear me and not participate in video. I could instantly record this from my console here, I could also stream that. So these meeting technologies are all consolidating into one giant market that's tens of billions of dollars a year. So from a vendor perspective, it's really exciting because there's all the cards are being thrown up into the air, and so it's a bit of a total reset, and there's no winner yet in this new market. With video becoming mainstream, everybody taking a look at their fresh look at their collaboration tools, cloud service infrastructure making this very, 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 very scalable. And a general level of dissatisfaction amongst customers, large and small, with the solutions that they have today. Nobody really has it right. So really exciting time in this space. I'm more excited than I ever have been in the 25 years I've been doing this. And I think for customers, for businesses, for you in the room there's an opportunity to provide your business and your company with a dramatically better solution that that can add real business value. So what is that? Say? We often hear that all the benefits of video conferencing, reduced travel costs, and big savings to the bottom line, and all of these things. And I think they're all real. These are more of the hard costs of video conferencing. But to me, they're a bit of a snooze. That I don't think that's the real. I don't think that's the real value of video communication. Not only have I spent 25 years in this business, I've spent 25 years being an entrepreneur and a leader. A CEO of building companies, building rapidly growing global companies, who not only are we building these types of capabilities, but we're running our business on video communication. It wouldn't matter if we made coffee mugs. We would still run our business on video communication. That's the way we do it here. So I have firsthand, maybe more than anybody in the world, have 25 years experience of building companies and growing them using this technology. And I'll tell you, for me, what the real value of video communication is. It's sure we can save some travel costs, but what the real value is it's all around employee engagement and employee relationships in distributed organizations, building stronger employee engagement and stronger employee relationships in far-flung companies. If you have, if your company has 5 people and they all work in the same room, and you never never have the need to talk to, vendors and suppliers, well, you probably don't need our solution. But I know from talking to our team in the Nordics and interacting with a number of customers at the same event last year. You know, enterprises in Finland are necessarily, you know, global businesses. There's not enough home market to build a substantial company. So you have employees that are all not only all over Europe but all over the world. And how do you continue to maintain, you know, to build employee engagement, employee relationships? So, you know, one click down below that, if you want to build a great culture at a company, what are the essential elements of that? Well, the essential elements of that is what is culture? Well, it's a sense of belonging and identity to a particular organization, whether that's a sports team or a family, or a you know, a civic organization, or a political organization, or a church organization. There's culture that's built. And that culture comes from this, you know, these things, those sense of belonging and identity. And so why is culture important? Well, culture is important because it ties everybody together with a shared purpose. Again, whether that's a business, whether you're in the mining business or the you know, video communication business, or you know, or you build you know, construction equipment, or retail. Companies, you know, it's such a critical thing to build a strong culture at your company, and culture really is around culture, you know, feeling of connectivity and shared purpose. And if all you ever do is talk to somebody on an audio conference call, it's going to be a lot harder to build, you know, a shared purpose. And then you know, the result of that is, with this shared purpose, everybody's rowing in the same direction. Everybody's pulling in the same direction. Everybody has the same goals, and that's going to yield better business results. That's where real, you know, productivity and profitability come in. So, sure, you can deploy video communication to cut your travel budget, but you're you know, underutilizing the asset, underutilizing the opportunity. This really is about employee engagement and building relationships, and that's what that's what I like to talk about. That's you know, that's what we think about here at Lifesize. How do we connect people to make their workplace great? And great, you know, means it's a better place to work. So this is, you know, after 25 years of doing this, this is you know, this is really the why of Lifesize. Is you know, it's about improving employee engagement and building relationships in distributed companies. Okay, getting into something that's maybe a little bit more technical here. What are the elements of a modern enterprise video communications solution? What should you be looking for? You know, when you're deploying. This is very different than it was a few years ago, where really the only opportunity was to put a couple of, you know, integrated video communication rooms in your largest headquarters locations. And that was pretty much it. There was no opportunity to bring in, you know, all your employees and people who are traveling. But the three primary architectural elements of a modern solution start with a global cloud infrastructure network on top tier backbone. There's a number of those around. It's been fascinating to watch the growth of that industry as well. The public cloud infrastructure and the arms race that's going on between AWS and IBM software, IBM and Google and Microsoft. Nobody wants to be left out of that. So these massive data centers that are being deployed all over the world. So in order to provide a great solution for global companies, you need to be running on those global networks, global infrastructure platforms with nodes in nodes all over the world. I think we have 21 nodes in on every continent. You can see that's a map of our infrastructure there, where you can see all the places that we're deployed. And running one load of software. That's the beautiful thing about this new model. Every customer in the world, when they log into Lifesize, and it's tens of thousands a day, all interact with one load of software. And so it's just, for security bugs and in new features and interoperability. It's just that's really the only way to go. And every modern SaaS company, whether that's Salesforce or NetSuite, or our consumer application like Netflix or Uber, they're running one load of software across their entire network. That's what makes SaaS businesses hum. The second architectural element is desktop and mobile apps. We have companies need to provide, and we do, browser-based apps, downloadable apps for Mac and PC, mobile apps for Android and iOS. So this serves the employees at their desks, people who are traveling, people who are working from home, and a key component of that is guest calling. People outside your network through an easy browser-based link. So global cloud infrastructure, desktop and mobile apps, and then the third one is the conference room. Conference room is for most organizations still the hub of their of the culture of the collaboration culture of their company. Your most important business discussions, your most important meetings, your most important decisions are made in conference rooms, if you think about that. And so, your company deserves the very best technology and communication equipment and service in your conference room. That's where your most important decisions and meetings take place. So that's the third component of it is a well integrated conference room system. So this is the way that we think about our business now, and it's very, very different than it was a few years ago. Global cloud infrastructure, fantastic conference room systems, desktop and mobile apps that would make my 12-year-old daughter happy in terms of UX. And this doesn't look like it's something that's just made for an IT professional to use. Okay, so that's a little bit about that. So let's talk a little bit about Lifesize. I would want to make sure I spend a little time on that since I had the opportunity to talk about one of my favorite subjects in the entire world, the company that I work for here in Austin. So this is the homepage of our website. First page of our website, and this is what's called the hero tile. If you're in your business, if you talk to your web managers, that's what they call the top page of the top half of your website. And that's where your key message is, and the why of your company. Why do you exist? What makes your company unique? What makes your company special? Why should someone buy your solution? And this really is talks to the soul of Lifesize and our core values. We provide extraordinary video conferencing, which is available to any person in any conference room anywhere around the world. And our company is obsessed with your success. It's one of our core values is customer obsession. And if you think about other vendors that you've dealt with in this industry, in this business, I'm not sure you could say that about all of them. That they provide you an extraordinary video conferencing experience. And they are and we are absolutely obsessed with your success in terms of our customer support and our onboarding and our sales teams and all of our customer facing organizations. And I think those two elements make us special, make us unique. And as you evaluate your options in this in this space, I would ask you to keep those two things in mind, because I believe that those are essential elements of the requirements, and maybe the soft requirements of what you would be looking for working with a company. You'd want all the specs and the pricing and the integration, and the training and all those things. But after all that's done, after you've paid for it, and after when you're using it day in and day out, I think the relationship you want with your vendor in this, when you're adding these sorts of capabilities are these two things. So what's different about Lifesize? We provide, unlike most or all of the competitors in our space, we provide both the cloud infrastructure software, the communications platform, as well as the conference room devices. We've spent 15 years building these amazing conference room devices. We think we have the best ones in the world. And not only do we have the absolute best conference room systems, we tightly pair those to our cloud service and our desktop and mobile apps for a unified solution. Now, it's not a closed solution. We are absolutely committed to open standards and interoperability throughout our history, unlike many competitors in our space. But we provide a unified solution. We don't make you buy cloud service from company A and then we don't have any conference room systems. You'll have to see our partner for that. That's not who we are. We provide you a unified solution. So why is that important? Why is a unified solution important? Well, let's talk about a couple of the reasons. As we just talked about, conference rooms are the anchor of the collaboration culture. Your most important meetings, your most important business decisions, your board meetings, your quarterly business reviews, your executive staff meetings, all your M&A discussions, your legal discussions, all take place in conference rooms. And your company deserves absolutely the best communications technology in that conference room, one that you have absolute confidence that will work first time every time. And so those conference room devices need to be well integrated, need to be deeply paired to the service, just like your Apple TV is paired to iTunes, or your Nest thermostat or your drop can is paired to that service. What makes a Nest thermostat experience great? Well, it's the perfect blend of hardware, software, user experience or UI, and the service. That's what makes that device great. And we think about our systems the same way. Your companies have highly variable conference room environments, from small huddle rooms to large integrated training rooms. And you want a consistent experience and a consistent level of quality across all of those rooms. And that's what we do. That's what we do here at Lifesize. And just some of the quick benefits of that, plug and play, connection to Lifesize service. Like Matt and Andy and Marcus are going to demonstrate some of this stuff a little bit later. And we push all the directories and presence and virtual meeting rooms, automatically update the software. We have more than 25,000 conference room systems paired to our customers' accounts, for our more than 5,000 customers around the world. Every one of those conference room devices is running the exact same load of software. I would bet my next paycheck that within any of your companies that have video communication equipment deployed, that 95% of them are out of date on the software, because it is so hard to update the software on the previous generation. And why is that important? Well, there are critical security vulnerabilities that show up, every few months, and we can roll out patches and fixes to that within hours here at Lifesize, and every one of our customers has now has an updated codec system. And you can see the great attributes of things on our of why that unified solution is important. And the more we talk to customers, and the more we learn about the market as we deploy thousands and thousands of these devices to customers all over the world, we're more encouraged that this unified solution approach is really the best way to go. And you can say that the capabilities we provide on this platform, obviously we do video communication, recording and sharing of that. We do live streaming. We have guest calling through a one-click Chrome browser client. We can connect anything from any SIP or HSAT 323 device. We actually can take in Cisco and Polycom endpoints and have them registered clients on our service. So you have the investment protection of if you have 50 Cisco endpoints, but you want to move to a modern cloud or architecture product like Lifesize, you can keep all of those, and they can be registered devices on our network and show up on your address book. And obviously we can't update their software, but almost everything else we can do. So we have a very tight integrations with Skype for Business. We know a lot of you use Skype for Business as your as part of your Office 365 suite, and you want to use the Skype for Business clients on your desktop as the de facto desktop client. Great, you can do that. We can provide the meeting platform and all the conference room devices as well. So point-to-point, multi-point calling with Skype for Business. So a full set of capabilities, this full set of meeting platforms that we talked about up at the beginning: video conferencing, web conferencing, audio conferencing, streaming, recording, all in one, easy to use, scalable, great total cost of ownership package, and unlike any of our competitors, the very best conference room devices in the world, deeply paired with that network. Here's some of our customers in the Nordic region. We've been operating in Europe for since the beginning of we started selling products about 15 years ago. In fact, more than half our revenue at Lifesize comes from outside the United States. That might be surprising to you, as a relatively small US-based technology company. But about 40% of our business comes from Europe, all across the EU and the non-EU European countries. So we're very strong in Europe. Lots of employees all throughout the region, and it's a very important and a growing piece of our business. And here's some of our customers in the U.S. Amazon, I found out recently, actually is our largest deployment in the U.S. They have more than 300 of our conference room systems deployed at Amazon. And you see some of the other large technology companies and non-technology companies that we have. BlaBlaCar, you probably might have heard of that. That's a French company. So we're great mix of global customers and lots of smaller companies that you never have heard of. One of our favorite. Not only do we have Major League Baseball, which is a big sports organization here in the U.S. One of our customers is also the French Badminton Association. So we're very pleased to have a minor sport in one of our European countries. We are a company running at scale now. We're not. We don't have the market known and not as well known as companies like Cisco and Microsoft. Don't have the tens of billions of dollars of revenue and market capitalization, but we're a company running at scale. We're now running more than 500 million minutes of calling across our service, tens of thousands of customers, over the life of the company. Okay, just wrapping up. Make sure we're running. Want to make sure we don't run too much over time here. But just in summary, there's a massive horizontal market refresh cycle going on with video communication as the core driver. And enterprise-wide video communication is now mission critical, CIO-led initiative at every professional organization. I would bet that many of you in the room here today are taking a fresh look at your collaboration tools, and the primary driver of that is how to provide an easy, scalable video communication solution to all of your employees. And at Lifesize, we believe we have the very best solution in the market. It's unique, it's high customer value, and it's from a vendor perspective, it's defensible. From our combination of our global cloud service, global cloud meeting solution, our desktop mobile apps, and fantastic conference room devices. So with that, let me wrap up and thank you for your kind attention today. I'm sorry I wasn't able to make it in person. Going on a family vacation to Mexico tomorrow, and I don't think I would have made the plane, and that would not have made my wife very happy. I could not video. One of the things you can't do is video call into your vacation. That's not good for family dynamics. So hopefully I can make it to the event next year. So thank you very much, and Andy, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thanks very much, Craig. So although Craig couldn't make it here this year, he's got a trip to Mexico, and if you've got family, you want to be there for your family. But it'd be great, I think, if maybe we could take some of you guys out to see our HQ in Austin. So is there anyone in the audience that at some point in the future would like to join the Praycom team and myself in Austin, which is the live music capital of the world? We've got someone out there already, so let's turn that back, and we'll see, Craig will see you guys on there. And then hopefully we can get as many of you out to see Craig before he's due next time. So my only concern about being here today was not whether this great technology is going to work, but whether we could get Craig in the office early enough and he'd answer the call for us. So, whilst we were sweating at the back trying to get hold of Craig, it wasn't because the technology doesn't work. It's just, can we get Craig into the office early enough? So appreciate your time, Craig. We
Yep.
really
thank you very much.
And thank
Have a good day.
you to all of you. One final
Sure.
plug.
Thanks a lot.
For those of you that are here, we've got a demonstration facility through next door. We're going to show you all of that live. So what you've seen here in action, us talking to Craig and hearing from Craig, you're going to see live next door in a few minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Andy Nolan. Thank you also for Craig Malloy. Let's give a big hand for all of them. All the guys and the charisma.